Jeff Slauson here from 19 News Now at the 19 News Digital Desk. Governor Mike DeWine is here in Cleveland expecting to discuss and potentially offer some help from the state regarding the increase in crime we've seen here in the city of Cleveland. I want to show you a live look right now at what will be eventually where the governor will be taking his podium place. Now, the governor was expected to speak, I don't know, about 10 minutes ago, 11 minutes ago, something like that. Obviously, that hasn't happened as of right now. So what we are expecting to hear, the governor is going to discuss details of state resources that are going to be deployed in Cleveland to combat violent crime in the city. This is in a partnership with the Cleveland Division of Police. I believe that we are expecting, in addition to the governor, the mayor to be there as well. But this is the Cleveland Violent Crime Initiative. Now, we were told that the governor would be making his appearance shortly. That time has come and gone. So what I'll do is kind of break down, at least from what we've seen here at 19 News. Now, we've covered this increase in crime a lot. I mean, this is something that we have really heavily covered over the past couple of weeks because we've seen teens, we've seen adults, we've seen kids involved in pretty large-scale fights. I don't know if you remember the one from a couple of weeks ago that the mayor was having a meeting on that showed us video of teens attacking somebody at a gas station. So we've seen a lot of these problems existing over the past couple of weeks, and now it seems that the state is stepping in. The state feels that there's a need to step in at this point and ultimately provide some state relief to this as well. So what I'm going to do is show you a story that we did. I just want to make sure I find the right one here. Yeah, on the rise that we have seen of crime here in the city of Cleveland. And that rise has been a 13% increase, at least in shootings, since 2012. That's a big number. That is a very problematic number. And that's only since the middle of July. We typically do see a slight increase in some of those as we approach middle of the summer. So as we wait for the governor to make his appearance here and to discuss the potential help that is going to be coming to the city of Cleveland, courtesy of the state, I want to play you the story that we did a couple of weeks ago, courtesy of our investigative unit.
19 investigates uncovering breaking new information in a downtown shooting investigation. We just got pictures of a guy Cleveland police want to talk to in connection with the shooting on Public Square. Now take a good look. These photos were just released by the 3rd District Detective Unit. They show a man wearing a black shirt and a red hoodie. Police say this guy fled the scene following a shooting outside of Jake's Deli right across from the casino. Now, this happened back on July 1st around 10 at night. 19 news crews were on the scene just minutes after this all went down. We're told a 22-year-old man was shot once in the stomach during an argument with the suspect. Police say the suspect is about 6 feet tall, 140 pounds, and goes by the name T. Detectives are trying to identify the man in these pictures. If you recognize him, you can give them a call at 216-623-5318. 19 Investigates continues to track violent crime trends and how they impact public safety. Felonious assault shootings are up more than 13% citywide, according to the latest Cleveland police data, which includes incidents from the first 6 months of 2023. So from January 1st to July 1st, police recorded 674 incidents compared to 595 during the same period in 2022. Now, it's really important to note that both of those numbers are way down from 2021 when there were 787 felonious assaults with firearms, but by July 1st of that year.
So again, that is a massive number and a very problematic number when you consider the fact that those numbers are from the middle of July. So yeah, with half the summer still to go, we still had the potential to see these increases continuing, and ultimately has led us to a point where we've needed that state help. We need more initiatives to be brought in, to be discussed. Last night, our Jim Nelson did a story about the Hoops After Dark initiative that the mayor has championed, which is hoping to bring people off the streets at night, give them a safe outlet, but also teach them certain skills that could potentially lead to them not returning to crime if that were to happen. We've seen videos of students, of kids in fights. We've seen videos of adults being attacked, of adults attacking. And the recent call, at least as of last week, came in the form of enforcing the curfew. So we have a curfew here in the city of Cleveland for those that are unfamiliar. Essentially, anybody that is under 18 years old cannot be out past midnight, and then there's breaks in between there, right? So anybody that's from ages 1 to 14 or 15, whatever it is, have a certain time to be in, and then it escalates from there. Enforcing that has not necessarily been at the top priority for police officers. That has not been something that they have been focusing on, and that's something that Cleveland City Council has noticed. So the idea was, hey, if you enforce this a little bit more, maybe teens won't be taken to the streets and causing some sort of issue. But they haven't been enforcing it, at least as strict as possible. Now, we know that they enforce it much more closely to July 4th. That typically is a time when we see an increased attention to trying to get kids off the street later on, especially when you approach that holiday weekend, because it's just a fact we see far, far more crime around that time. So the idea was, if you could enforce it all the time, maybe that wouldn't be an issue. But the police department hasn't necessarily said that that is a priority for them. It's more so looking for potentially other ways to stop crime in the city. We know as of now, we talked to you, or I just played you that story there talking about shootings. The vehicle thefts that we were seeing, also seeing some pretty massive increases. Let's play you this story now that we did just a couple weeks ago, excuse me. So the idea was, hey, if you enforce this a little bit more, maybe teens won't be taken to the streets and causing some...
compared to last year at this time. Everywhere at 5, we spoke with CPD about this very issue.
And at 6 o'clock, investigator Sarah Goldenberg has a closer look at which neighborhoods are getting hit the hardest.
Stolen cars cost you time, money, and peace of mind. And the problem in Cleveland has gotten much worse over the last year. Grand motor vehicle theft has nearly doubled in the city compared to last year at this time. That's according to the latest statistics from Cleveland Police. Take a look. In 2022 through mid-July, more than 1,800 cars were reported stolen. This year, in 2023 through that time, more than 3,600 cars have been reported stolen. You may be wondering which parts of the city are seeing the most car thefts. 19 Investigates found 2nd District, which includes Tremont and Ohio City, and 3rd District, which includes downtown, are the hotspots. Vehicle thefts there shot up 190% compared to last year. District 2 has seen 957 car thefts so far this year, compared to 329 last year at this time. District 3 has seen 901 car thefts up to mid-July, compared to 310 last year in the same period. And we found overall in the city, arrests are down when it comes to stolen cars since last year. According to police data, only 22 people have been arrested so far this year.
Overall, all 5 districts have seen an increase in stolen vehicles, but 4th District on the east side has seen the smallest increase at 19%. Sarah Goldenberg, 19 News.
So yeah, another example of why this potentially is needed. So for those that are just joining us, we are now waiting close to 20 minutes for Governor Mike DeWine, as he will be delivering remarks related to the potential help that the state could provide in combating violence in the city of Cleveland. We were told 5-minute warning about 20 minutes ago, so clearly that 5-minute warning has come and gone. So we are sitting here waiting for Governor Mike DeWine to speak to the city of Cleveland. I believe the mayor will be there in attendance as well, Mayor Justin Bibb. Not definitively, but pretty sure that that's what's going to be happening, in addition to other members of the governor's cabinet. So we're just waiting for Governor Mike DeWine to take the stage here, the podium at least, and discuss what these new initiatives could be. They are typically pretty tight-lipped on what they're going to offer prior to that discussion. So literally all we have is that he's going to be announcing the details of state resources being deployed in Cleveland to combat violent crime in the city. And this is going to be in partnership with the Cleveland Division of Police. What exactly those are, unknown. As I had mentioned prior to playing the story from Sarah Goldenberg, there's been a discussion to try and get the curfew followed a little bit closer to prevent teens from being on the roads a little bit more, and increased attention to getting guns off the streets, providing more technology to various departments across the city to try and at least get ahead of certain crime before it can happen. You hear a lot about crime prevention that takes place prior. So crime prevention is far different than just responding to a crime. Essentially what these different types of tools do and these different types of plans do is they try and get ahead of any potential crime. So what you do is you try and attack it at the source. You try and beat it at the source. Now, we haven't necessarily seen that work here in the city, and I think that's the problem. They know there's an issue. They don't know how to stop it. And we heard that from a city council meeting a couple of months ago where they were basically discussing the fact that there's many issues and many problems, but did not provide any concrete evidence as to what they can do to change that. And I think that's been, in part, a lot of the aggravation for many people that live in the city of Cleveland and a lot of the aggravation from people that were hoping to get some sort of an answer. Vehicle thefts up in districts across the city, 190% since last year. We've seen a 13% increase in shootings since last year. These are fundamental and concrete increases that show there is a need for something to be done, something different to be done here. Now what that will be, we're gonna wait in here. Now again, we are approaching almost a half hour into when the governor was supposed to speak with us here, members of the media. Caitlin McCarthy is on the ground there. She's also waiting for the governor to speak as well on this. I'm trying to see if there's anything else I can pull here because everything I prepped. Let's see. All right, let's show you this story here. More than 30 teens have been shot in the summer just this far. Let's play this one for you as soon as that starts to end here. But again, for those that are just joining, for those that just jumped onto our digital stream, we are still waiting for Governor Mike DeWine to speak regarding the increase of crime that we've seen in the city of Cleveland.
Our teenagers.
That's right. 19 Investigates found more than 30 teens have been shot so far this summer, and one wasn't even safe at a city rec center.
Investigator Sarah Goldenberg shows us the measures first responders are taking to save lives.
A frantic call for help in the Clark Fulton neighborhood on the west side of Cleveland.
Hey, another gunshot kid right up there.
Police body camera shows officers responding to a double shooting.
All I just hear is boom, my ears started feeling weird, so I feel it and I'm just bleeding.
A 14-year-old shot in the ear, so close to much more damage. Down the street, a 13-year-old shot several times, including in the chest.
Where you shot?
Another officer arrives, grabs his medical trauma kit from his car trunk, and starts running to help the second victim, too, knowing every second counts as they wait for an ambulance.
Let me get you a tourniquet, all right?
The teen in shock.
All right, bro, you're okay. We got your mess coming for you.
Soon, everyone is there to help. Paramedics and firefighters helping load the victims into an ambulance. Teamwork to get these teens, these children, life-saving medical care. The victims tell police they were walking when they heard gunshots from behind. The city's real-time crime center found surveillance video of the shooting, and officers collected shell casings at the scene, leading to the arrest of a 23-year-old man 2 days later. This just one case of more than 24 shootings involving teens since Memorial Day weekend. 19 Investigates poured through CPD brevity reports, preliminary information sent out to the media. We counted at least 32 teenagers shot since May 26th. Sadly, 6 of those teens died. We're including 18 and 19-year-olds in our count. And we found one teen was shot at or outside of a rec center, Zelma George, in June.
CPD officers keep medical trauma kits in their cars to use when every second counts in an emergency. First responders used tourniquets to save lives in the mass shooting just over a week ago in Cleveland. Reporting from the 2nd District, Sarah Goldenberg, 19 News.
So again, showing you just another story onto why we have seen the increase, or potentially why we've seen the increase in crime here in the city of Cleveland. All right, we are now approaching 30 minutes past when Governor Mike DeWine said he would be speaking to the media. We're just going to kind of leave this up as of right now and wait and see until potentially when he could be stepping up to the podium. All right, we apologize for the technical difficulties there, but we are still waiting for the governor to speak. Again, for those that are just joining, for those that have been waiting on this this digital stream here, Governor Mike DeWine is supposed to be speaking about the state initiatives that are going to help reduce crime in the city of Cleveland. He was supposed to speak at 3 o'clock. We're now at 3:31, so obviously very delayed in this. We've not heard potentially on a new time, and our shot just did drop out there. So we're going to wait and see. Just waiting to listen to see if anything changed. So it doesn't seem like anything's changed here. Up the shot. Okay, so the shot has returned. We still have no idea potentially when we could hear from the governor. All right, now you were seeing what appears to be members of the governor's entourage, potentially the mayor's entourage. That there is, okay, so that's Mayor Justin Bibb. He has arrived on scene there, and then we're going to hopefully hear from them soon. 33 minutes behind schedule, so let's hope that they get a little bit of a move on here. I do not see the governor yet, unless that was him on the left. See there, is it Blaine? Yeah, that's Blaine Griffin, council president. So let's hope that they can head to the podium here. So you see those that are attending here to discuss potentially those increases in safety that are coming from the state. I've seen Justin Bibb. Have not seen Governor Mike DeWine as of yet. And then as that's Bernie Kosar there. We have no idea why Bernie Kosar would be there. So we haven't seen the governor yet, but potentially the governor is there now. We have Mayor Justin Bibb and Bernie Kosar to announce safety improvements in the city of Cleveland. This is already getting off to a strange start. All right, and there you can see the governor. Yeah, he's pretty short, so he's right in the middle of everybody there. So now you can see the governor, mayor, Bernie Kosar, multiple people now approaching the podium. Hopefully they will figure out the handshakes and take their talents here so we can understand what exactly these updates are going to be involved in. As they, are slowly now making their way to the podium. There, Governor Mike DeWine, Mayor Justin Bibb walking in front of the camera there. Members of Cleveland City Council, members of Cleveland Division of Police in attendance. And we do apologize for that lens that's kind of covering the camera right now. It's a pretty hot day, so it's overheating. So hopefully they'll be able to take that off and we'll be able to get a better look at all this. Yep, there it goes. All right, cool. So now we will take you to the live press conference hosted by Mayor Mike DeWine, talking about potential violence help that is coming to the city of Cleveland.
Guys ready? Well, good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
You're here for a press conference to kind of talk about our partnership on a local, state, and federal level. As you can see, we have quite a few folks behind us. I'm going to start off with Governor DeWine, who's going to say a few things, then we'll move down the line. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Good afternoon, everyone. I want to thank Chief Drummond. I want to thank Mayor Bibb, Public Safety Director Howard, Prosecutor O'Malley. We're also going to hear today from Major Hendricks, the Ohio State Highway Patrol. Starting when I was a very young county prosecuting attorney, I learned that the best way for me to understand what was going on, particularly in the area of the crime problem, was to go out and to meet with the men and women who deal with this every single day. So we just concluded a meeting, a very good, frank discussion about exactly what is going on in Cleveland. I also had the opportunity today to go up with the Ohio State Highway Patrol in the helicopter. We were up for about 40 minutes and just watched what they do, watched what the patrol on the ground was doing and what the Cleveland PD on the ground was doing. 40 minutes up, they had a productive time. Ended up with 4 arrests and 4 guns seized just in that brief 40-minute period of time. This is, as the chief has said, is really, I think, about cooperation and working together. As I said, I came here to meet with men and women who are directly involved in dealing with this problem. I also brought with me our Safety Director, Andy Wilson, the Ohio State Department of Public Safety, Director Annette Chambers-Smith of the Ohio Department of Rehabilitation and Corrections, Director Amy Ast of the Ohio Department of Youth Services, as well as Ohio State Highway Patrol Officer Major Hendricks, who oversees field operations in this area. Each one of these departments is involved in one way or the other in the surge that we have going on here in Cleveland. The state, along with the police department, along with our other agencies, started this surge yesterday. We know that most violent crime is committed by repeat offenders. These are people who are not legally allowed to possess a firearm, yet they do anyway. All too often, innocent victims are hurt. And I listened to the chief and Prosecutor O'Malley talk a moment ago about young children who recently have been killed here in Cleveland. And frankly, it breaks your heart. Every parent has the right to be able to raise their children and to live in a neighborhood that is free of crime and free of violence. And so that really is what this is all about. It is an effort to allow these families to live and to raise their kids, and to allow these communities to thrive. And no community can thrive, no community can do well when they're worried about violence, when they're worried about crime. Since the time I took office, my request to the State Highway Patrol, what I've told the State Highway Patrol to do, is to work with local units of government. We have in this state over 900 law enforcement agencies. We are a local government state. We do not intend to tell the chief what to do or tell the mayor what to do, but we are here to help. And I think that is the proper role of the state of Ohio. When local law enforcement reaches out for assistance in fighting an increase in crime, one way we respond as a state is through a targeted, data-driven surge initiative. That surge initiative started here in Cleveland yesterday. It is not the first surge initiative that we have done in Cleveland, and I will guarantee you it will not be the last. What a surge initiative does is combine the work of state, federal, and local law enforcement agencies to send a concentrated influx of resources and personnel to known criminal hotspots. Look, we have to be smart about this. Cleveland Police Department has a good, very good system where they can pinpoint where the crime is and take it right down to the community level, to the street level. Taking advantage of that information and using that is an essential part of what we have to do. Here in Cleveland, 2 targeted crime reduction surge initiatives occurred last year, April and August, with very, very good results. At the request of the chief, we started another targeted surge initiative in reducing crime in the city yesterday. We will continue that. We will do it on days that we certainly will not announce what we are doing, but we are here to stay. This new initiative started yesterday and continues today in the 4th District, where the data shows that a great deal of the crime is happening. Additional surge events will take place in various parts of the city on unannounced days moving forward. During surge days, the Ohio State Highway Patrol troopers will increase traffic enforcement in and around criminal hotspots in the area. They'll work to support the Cleveland Police Department, the men and women of the police department who are out there fighting every single day. They will support them both on the street and from the air to help them identify and apprehend violent offenders and drug traffickers. Further, they will support local authorities with evidence processing and suspect interviews when that is needed. I want to put this in a little perspective. Again, we're a local government state. We have local police departments. But the state should be doing things that only the state can do. And to assist not only the Cleveland Police Department, but other law enforcement agencies throughout the state. And that has been the philosophy that I brought to this job. Since 2019, when I took office, we have done a number of different things. One, we stood up the state's Ohio Narcotics Intelligence Center, the first one. We launched this in 2019. We have an office that is located right here in Cuyahoga County. What we do is offer forensic evidence analysis on devices such as seized cell phones. We also provide intelligence gathering support as well to the local police departments when they ask us to do that. Let me mention that ONIC, as we call it, the investigative support, is available free of charge to any law enforcement agency in the state of Ohio. The Narcotics Intelligence Center has offices now in not only Cleveland, but also Columbus, Toledo, and Cincinnati. Let me go back to the surge events for a moment. During these surge events, our Ohio Investigative Unit will work to target liquor establishments that are known for illegal sales and that are also hotspots, that we have found are hotspots for drug trafficking as well as prostitution. The Ohio Department of Rehabilitation and Corrections, our prison system, our parole system, will make extra unannounced visits to adults and youth who've been released from incarceration and are under supervision here in Cleveland. They will also keep a close eye on these individuals. They always do that, but during this initiative, our teams are giving them, let's say, extra attention. The first day of the surge yesterday was when our team zeroed in on this 4th district. And the operation went well. The data I have is incomplete. I'll tell you what I do have. Law enforcement made 57 traffic stops, 20 felony arrests, confiscated 4 illegally possessed firearms, located 4 stolen vehicles, seized heroin, cocaine, crack cocaine, and other drugs. Our team also gave treatment referrals to 9 individuals who clearly were in need of recovery support. In 4 cases yesterday, our aviation unit in the air prevented dangerous pursuits of fleeing suspects. Each time when a trooper attempted a traffic stop or when the PD attempted a traffic stop, the driver sped away. But instead of chasing them, our patrol helicopters tracked the drivers from the sky and directed troopers on the ground about where to find them and where to arrest them. Quite literally, they may run, but they cannot hide. Further, our Ohio Adult Parole Authority teams made contact with many individuals under the supervision. That led yesterday to 3 arrests and the recovery of several illegally possessed guns as well as gun parts. Our goal in this initiative is to complement the other work that is going on, the work of the men and women of the PD, as well as U.S. Marshal Pete Elliott and his great team of U.S. Marshals. They are engaged in Operation 216, and I'm sure Pete will talk more about that as well. Let me again maybe pull back for a moment and look at this from the big picture. During our administration, we have invested about $26.5 million in the safety of Cleveland. The funding comes from various sources. It includes the $250 million in ARPA funds we've been awarding to law enforcement agencies all over the state. We made a decision along with the state legislature to take $250 million of ARPA funds and to direct them directly to local law enforcement agencies. We have, particularly for the news media, 2 handouts that you'll get in a moment that detail some of the funding and other state support available to law enforcement here and statewide. Again, I want to thank the legislature for providing, at our request, that money. They have been our partners on that. Our funding program follows our philosophy that local law enforcement, local chiefs, local sheriffs, local mayors should be making the decisions for their communities about how this money gets spent. So in Cleveland's funding, for example, went to technology for its real-time crime center. I've actually seen this center. I've looked at it. It is quite amazing. Other law enforcement agencies use funding to set up hotspot policing details or invest in technology used in solving crimes. Again, we've left that up to the local departments. Separately, the Ohio Department of Youth Services has also given out dollars to help with justice-involved youth. And we had the opportunity to have a good conversation with Prosecutor O'Malley, with the chief, and others about more that we might be able to do in regard to our juvenile offenders. As you know, one of the things that we're seeing, not just in Cleveland, but across the state of Ohio, is the age of our offenders continues to drop, where we are seeing young people, 12, 13 years of age, who are involved in very, very, very serious crimes. I won't go through the whole list, but again, Cleveland is well represented. Cuyahoga County is well represented in the state Senate and the state legislature, and I thank them. Many of them are here today, but whether they're here today or not, they have been helpful. We've done this on frankly a bipartisan basis and made sure this money is available to local law enforcement. Let me just conclude by saying this is a work in progress. We don't have all the answers. The men and women behind you do not have all the answers. But what we do pledge to the people in Cleveland and the people in the communities, communities that have been hard hit by crime, we pledge that the state will stay involved. We will continue to do everything that we can. I know Pete Elliott, U.S. Marshal, will as well. And we will continue to work very, very closely with the mayor, council, with the chief. Let me now turn it over to Mayor Bibb, who we appreciate always having the opportunity to work with him. Since he's taken office, we have met a few times, but we've been on the phone a number of times besides that. And I think that is what the people of Cleveland and Ohio expect both of us to do. And we're going to continue that very, very close cooperation. Mayor?
Thank you, Governor. It's good to have you in the southeast side of Cleveland. As many of you know, last month our administration announced the RISE initiative, raising investment in safety for everyone. The city's most comprehensive violence reduction and law enforcement enhancement plan the city has ever seen. RISE is a portfolio of multiple strategic investments, partnership, enforcement efforts, and advancements in technology. A key component of RISE are these partnerships. The partnership with the state we're here to talk about this afternoon. The partnership with the Ohio Highway Patrol is going to go a long way to reduce violent crime in our city. We're also excited to be partnering with the U.S. Marshals and the County Sheriff's Department as well, too. All of these partnerships are focused on a couple of key things. One, additional traffic enforcement, extra patrols, investigator support, warrant sweeps, and hot spot targeting to reduce violent crime in our city. These partnerships already have yielded tangible results in the city of Cleveland. Just 2 days ago, the U.S. Marshals arrested 4 individuals, 2 of which had warrants for aggravated murder by the Cleveland Division of Police. Also, the number of registered cameras in our city's Safe Smart CLE program has tripled since we announced the expansion of that program last month. And already, because we expanded ShotSpotter in all 5 police districts, we have saved 6 lives, recovered 25 guns, and made 23 arrests. And next week, we're looking forward to some positive announcements with the head of the CPPA and FOP regarding additional investments in the men and women of our police department to address recruitment, retention, and deployment of safety officers all across the city of Cleveland. And first and foremost, I want to just thank Governor DeWine for his steadfast partnership. He's one of the first calls I got when I was elected in November of 2021. And every time I call the governor, he picks up the phone and offers more support to keep Cleveland safe and more support to keep Cleveland prosperous. So again, Governor, I'm thankful for your partnership. Just earlier this morning, I was doing a senior walk at the Michael Zone Rec Center, and Ms. Ruffner was talking about how excited she was about this press conference because she knows that U.S. Governor and I, as mayor, and the city council, with this partnership, will be a little bit safer here in the city of Cleveland, Ohio. Now I'll kick it off to Chief Wayne Drummond. Chief.
Thanks, Mayor. Appreciate everyone coming out. I just want to talk about the partnership that we have here. Again, if you just look around you, not just behind me, just around you, I just want to first and foremost thank the officers that are doing the work. It's not us. It's the individuals that's behind you, to my right, to my left, and who are currently either up in the air, in the helicopter, in the zone cars, the patrol cars, and so forth. I want to thank them first and foremost. They're doing the work that we're asking them to do, and it's a very challenging work, so I appreciate their efforts. The partnerships I just can't say enough of, and not just the State Highway Patrol, which we have a tremendous partnership with, but also Pete Elliott, Marshal Elliott, and his folks. The partnership and the relationship that we have with them. The mayor mentioned about the 4 individuals who were arrested earlier in the week with the Marshal Service, also with the State Highway Patrol. Their tactical folks were also assisted in arresting those 4 individuals. Before I came here, I was updated by our homicide unit that not only did the Marshals arrested the 4 individuals earlier this week, Monday, but they also arrested 2 other individuals, or several other individuals for homicides that occurred earlier this summer. So we're really, really active in looking for those individuals that's wanted for homicide and also those who are drivers of violent crimes in our respective neighborhoods. We have the Ohio Investigative Unit, tremendous partnership with them. Of course, the State Highway Patrol, again, I can't stress enough, they come in whatever we call. Whenever we call, they've never said no. They bring up all their units, the aviation unit and so forth, and I just can't thank them enough. Their activity is tremendous. Working hand in hand with our officers, they've made several arrests. I won't repeat some of the stats that the governor gave you. That's the stats that they had working with our officers, coupled with the stats that our officers had relative to felony arrests. And by the way, some of those felony arrests that were mentioned before were for stolen vehicles, primarily the Hyundais and Kias. And here's a little tidbit. My mother lives right in the 3rd District. We're in the 4th District. My mother lives in the 3rd District, right off of 95th there, not very far from here. But she called me and she said, Wayne, I heard some helicopter and so forth. And she said, not only that, I saw a couple officers run through the backyard. And I said, Mom, don't worry about it. That's the State Highway Patrol. They're probably my officers as well as the State Highway Patrol. And she said she believed that they caught a couple of people. She saw a couple more officers in her backyard going through garbage cans and so forth, believing that potentially whoever they were chasing actually dropped either weapons or evidence, drugs, and so forth. So just to let you know, it affects folks. That's my mother, who's 80-something years old, who's calling me and talking about the enhancement that we have relative to our enforcement and our partnerships and so forth. Again, I can't stress enough the partnership, the collaborations of so many different agencies, again, locally, statewide with our State Patrol, locally with the Sheriff Department, Sheriff Patel, with their partnership. We're starting a patrol downtown with the Sheriff Department that's going to concentrate in the downtown area. That's going to be tremendous. You'll see a huge difference with that. And again, the key thing I keep mentioning here is partnership, collaboration. For us, it's a force multiplier. And we can't do it alone. No question about it. We need everyone's help. We need the general public's help. When they see something, say something. When you see something, say something. And we had a shooting not too long ago, and I'm sorry to say it was at a church. Not till about 2 Sundays ago. We had a shooting at a church where an individual came in. There was a confrontation. He ultimately was shot multiple times, I believe 3 times. What was troubling to me was that we did not receive a 911 call. Our call came from the shot spotter. That's where it came from. Based on that, our officers responded, found the victim, again, shot multiple times, and administered first aid until EMS got there to take him. So I believe there's a potential that our officers saved that individual's life. You heard the mayor talked about 6 instances so far where ShotSpotter was able to notify our officers responded and found victims, and we believe saved their lives. So that's the technology that we're using. So we need people to get involved. If they see something, say something, and give us a call, and let's come down here and take care of business. Next is going to be up is I'm honored to introduce Major Hendricks from the State Highway Patrol, again, for our partnership. Again, I can't say enough about the partnership with them. Just want to thank them publicly.
Great afternoon. Thank you, Governor DeWine, Cleveland Mayor Bibb, Cleveland Division of Police Wayne Drummond, Prosecutor O'Malley, and U.S. Marshal Pete Elliott. I want to talk about 3 things this afternoon. I want to talk about how we measure success. 3 ways of how we measure success. Effort, results, and impact. You heard everyone talk about behind me. They talked about the effort. When you talk about effort, you have to have the partnerships, the collaboration with the Cleveland Division of Police, and also our state, local, and federal partners, the prosecutor's office as well. We have to have that collaboration piece. That's the first one, the effort. What we brought here to the table to assist our partners as well in the collaboration, you've heard about our aviation section. They're a risk mitigator. They're up right now. Matter of fact, if they're downlinking live on the screen of the command vehicle, they're broadcasting real-time information down to command officers that can actually see what they can see. The governor mentioned it earlier about we didn't have to engage in those pursuits. We were able to back off because those eyes in the sky were able to do that. to guide those ground units to those folks. So our aviation assets are here. Our vehicle theft and fraud unit, they're here. Our special response team, they're teamed up with our criminal patrol units. We have our Post 18 Cleveland units, also surrounding post units here as well. Our Ohio investigative unit, they're here to assist. All of us working together for one common mission as how we can accomplish things and tackle the problems. So the effort is all of us working together. The results, Governor DeWine talked about the results. What we saw last night, some of those numbers are still coming in. Stolen vehicles, weapons recovered, arrest of folks. Today as well, our folks have been at it this morning. Myself and the governor were airborne a few hours ago. At least 4 weapons recovered in the 40-minute flight that we were up. Next, so we have the results. I want to talk about impact. I have a few anecdotes I want to share. On April 22nd, 2022, the Euclid Police Department initiated pursuit after a suspect pointed a gun at a Cleveland police officer from a stolen vehicle. The Ohio State Highway Patrol's aviation unit located the vehicle, observed the suspect enter a residence, and officers responded and established a perimeter and successfully negotiated his surrender. On June 30th, 2023, agents observed suspects wearing ski masks in a stolen Audi at a liquor store. Our agents arrested all occupants who were suspects in multiple area armed robberies and recovered 2 illegal weapons, including an automatic pistol. So the effort, the results, and the impact, that's what we need to be successful. We have been here before, and we will continue to be here as long as we are needed. Through the governor, through the director, we are here to make an impact and here to make a difference. Next, if I can introduce U.S. Marshal Pete Elliott. Hey.
I don't think this microphone is working, correct? Is it working?
It's working.
All right. I thought it was not, but thank you for having me here today. You know, it's a great day when you're here with the greatest quarterback in Cleveland Browns history. And I'm not talking about Marty Sweeney, by the way. I'm talking about that man, a good friend of mine. Bernie's helped us a lot on missing child cases for the last couple of years, right, Bernie? So thank you for that. The Marshal Service, we're looking forward to this continued partnership with the Cleveland Police Department and my good friend Wayne Drummond. A partnership that we have had for many years, and also a partnership, we're looking forward to the partnership we have with the state troopers, deputy sheriffs, prosecutors, adult parole officers, and all members of the Northern Ohio Violent Fugitive Task Force. In this Operation 216, we will be focusing our efforts collectively to reduce violent crime, and for this operation, we will be tripling our resources. So I want to say that again, we're tripling our resources here in Northern Ohio. And we're additionally expanding by deputizing more Cleveland police officers and more deputy sheriffs to assist our Northern Ohio Violent Fugitive Task Force in its fugitive mission. We'll be focusing together on the most violent warrants here in the city for homicide, carjackings, aggravated assaults, and so on. We started this operation for us Monday, and since then, 2 days ago, good music, right? I love. 2 days ago, we arrested 3 for murder, others for violent crimes, seized 7 firearms, including automatic weapons. The violence needs to stop in our city. We are not going away, and now we are going to be stronger and stronger than ever. Listen to this statistic. There are presently 220 incarcerated for murder in the Cuyahoga County Jail, according to our county administrator, and obviously more since Monday. 220 plus individuals incarcerated for murder alone. That is more than some graduating classes of high schools around our state. And I promise you those numbers will do nothing but continue. The senseless violence needs to stop. And all of the leaders, every one of the leaders behind me here, standing here today collectively are going to do everything in their power to make sure it stops. Our strength has always been in our partnerships together. Thank you. Introduce my good friend, our great prosecutor. He's been a tremendous prosecutor, a tremendous partner of ours in the Marshal Service, Mr. Michael Melly.
First of all, I want to take the time to thank Governor DeWine, Safety Director Andy Wilson, the Ohio State Highway Patrol, the Ohio Investigative Unit, Pete Elliott, wherever Pete just went, and the U.S. Marshals, who are our partners day in, day out, and also our new county sheriff. Yesterday was the first day where we had a surge of law enforcement personnel that led to more arrests. But make no mistake, our city and our county has to be able to protect itself. We can't rely on state assistance. It's great when we get it, but we can't rely on state assistance. The violence continues. Even with a surge yesterday, we had a 14-year-old murdered, a 19-year-old murdered. We had a shooting on Public Square. It has to take everyone in this community, every elected official, every assistance we can get from the state is greatly appreciated, but we have to be able to control this situation on our own. The situation with the Hyundais and Kias has gotten so far out of hand, it has exacerbated a horrible problem already. I urge Attorney General David Yost to file a class action to help Ohio with this problem. Since I became county prosecutor, we've had over 1,350 murders in our county. 83% of those individuals who have been murdered are African American. It's a horrible, embarrassing statistic. The only people who can stop that are the people within our own community. I'm urging all citizens to get involved, work with local law enforcement, and help us put an end to this madness so we don't have another 14-year-old killed tomorrow. It has to end, but it can only end when we're all working together, in particular the people of our county. Thank you.
Happy to take any questions.
Governor, Lydia Sparrow from 3 News. Were you invited here, or were you keeping an eye on the situation here in Cleveland and decided to come on your own?
No. Legally, we can only come here if we're invited. We can go nowhere unless we're invited, and we were invited. And you know, look. This is there's two things we're talking about. I want to kind of be clear. One is the surge that started yesterday, and we will be doing this, and we're not going to, as we work with the PD, Cleveland PD, we're not going to obviously say when we're going to do it or where we're going to do it, but we will do that, and that will include air support as well. But the other help that we can give and are giving and have been giving is to have a big presence in the community of the Highway Patrol. The Highway Patrol obviously is out on the interstates. They're on all the roads, interstate highways that are leading into Cleveland, leading out of Cleveland, but also, you know, having them involved, again, working with the local police department, with the Cleveland Police Department, I think is very, very important. So that's something that's been going on. The commitment we make is we will continue that. We're going to push that as much as we can, and the other thing we'll do is we'll do the surges. But all of this has to be in very close cooperation with the police department, with the chief, with the mayor, and we have that kind of very, very good cooperation.
What is Bernie Kosar's role? I mean, he's here. He's the only non-cop person, really.
Bernie always makes us feel better, you know. Bernie's our hero, so.
Governor DeWine, you said you had surges before, you'll have them again. Surges before, surges again. What's to say you can't kind of have this level of collaboration?
You know, I'm not picking it up. Can you shout at me a little bit more? I apologize, but.
I know that you said you've had surges before, you'll have them
Yeah.
again. What's to say you can't kind of have this level of collaboration as standard procedure throughout the calendar year? It feels like sometimes we play whack-a-mole during times of desperation.
Look, this is a high priority for us. We understand what is going on in Cleveland. We understand the tragedies. We understand the families whose hearts have been broken because they lost a loved one. They lost a child. Look, we get that. And so my order, not just to the Highway Patrol, but to our parole authority, which is under the governor, as well as our DYS, Department of Youth Services, other parts of the Highway Patrol. You know, we have told them of the importance of this, and so we will stay on this. What we can't promise you is that every day we're going to have a helicopter up. You know, we're going to try to expand some of those things, and so that we can, you know, have more of them. But we are involved in other communities as well. But we get it. I get it. I understand what is going on in Cleveland, and I understand that we can play a role. As the prosecutor said, state can't solve all the problems. We don't pretend that we can, but we can help, and we intend to help, and we intend to stay involved, and we're not leaving.
I just want to add to that. Since last year, the governor's entire administration have been very supportive of our efforts at City Hall and public safety on a number of different fronts. One, additional investments to expand and improve our real-time crime center. Additional investments regarding retention bonuses to help us attract and retain officers inside the Cleveland Division of Police. And so that partnership is ongoing. It will be ongoing, but now it's deepened given the heightened levels of violent crime we've seen in Cleveland over the last several months.
Governor DeWine or Chief Drummond, what will trigger a surge day? Do you think this will be like a weekly occurrence?
I would like to say yes. I'd like to have the state troopers here every day, every week. We analyze things. We have to be data-driven. And I know State Patrol, they're data-driven, so are we, using our analysts to find the hotspots. And then even further than that, we take that down to a microgrid area so we can concentrate in those particular areas. And having the state troopers come in really enhances our ability to actually saturate an area and provide as much resources in those areas to target individuals and remove them from our community. We are in talks with the state troopers to continue this on a sustained basis. Obviously, we can't have all the assets like this, but I don't want it lost that, you know, our partnership with the state troopers is continuous. We work with them almost daily to a certain extent, not at this level, but we work with them on a regular basis. Our traffic unit, Bureau of Traffic, they work with them on a regular basis, targeting certain areas. There are state routes that run through the city of Cleveland. So the state troopers are here. We asked them to come in. They were gracious enough to come in and supply all the resources that you see here, including their air assets, which certainly is a blessing because we're able to go after individuals that may take off in a car, which they do on a regular basis, unfortunately. Having the state troopers up there, the eyes in the sky help us to be able to back off. So we're not pursuing these individuals. Once they stop, we're able to come in and hopefully make an arrest. So I would like to do this on a regular basis. We're in talks now with the state troopers to see when we can do that. We will not announce these big surges, but we will be hitting all the districts. And again, we're talking about hotspot areas and more specifically microgrid areas. So that's really down to the street level of targeting individuals and certain areas where we're having most of the violence.
Right now we're up 30% in crime and murders. Are you hoping to slow everything down with all these initiatives going on?
Absolutely, Lydia. That's part of it, absolutely. To tap it down and having the resources that we have available. State Patrol, again, Adult Parole Authority, having their partnership, and others as well that are not currently here, that help us on a regular basis to tap that down. We have the ATF, FBI, and their task force officers who are targeting certain areas you just don't know about. Again, targeting and being laser focused and strategic in identifying individuals. And the individuals we're talking about are drivers of violence. These are trigger pullers that we're identifying down to the microgrid area, and we're removing them from the street. So yes, our hope is that we have a sustained enforcement that will tap down the violence and push those numbers down, because we were on a torrid pace at one point relative to our homicide, but we're tapping that down. I think part of that obviously is the surge of the folks that you see back here with our partners, and we hope with that surge, sustained surge, that we'll be able to tap some of that violence down even more. No, it isn't. No, it isn't. There's no deadline. That's important to understand. This is a continuation of partnership. It just happened that it's today and yesterday. And again, we're not going to announce the other surge dates or areas, but this is a continuation. And the key word again is sustained. We had a meeting several weeks ago where we had pretty much all our partners there, and I asked them, one of my big asks was, can we have sustained enforcement? They all said, without hesitation, absolutely, Chief. And this is what this is about. It's, again, through the Mayor's Rise initiative, is to make sure we have our partners, and you see them here, coming together and collaboratively targeting these individuals, targeting certain areas, and these are hotspot areas. This is data-driven. That's key. This is not just throwing a blanket out and hoping to catch folks. No, this is very surgical in what we're doing and identifying areas, identifying the individuals that are trigger pullers, and pulling them out of our communities and pulling them out of our communities for a very long time.
Governor DeWine mentioned how a lot of these criminals are getting younger and younger. How is this initiative going to help target that issue as well?
I think we talked about this yesterday. Yesterday, the county executive and myself and other key stakeholders in the community announced a sprint task force to address youth mental health. And the data shows you that over 2/3 of juveniles that have been involved in violent crime have at least one diagnosed mental health disability. Think about that for a second. 2/3 of all juveniles that have been involved in violent crime have at least one mental health diagnosis. And so that task force, along with our investments in out-of-school time programming for youth, are all about addressing the root causes of violent crime in our city. But today is about aggressive, tactical law enforcement to make sure folks know that if you commit crime in our city, we're going to hold you accountable.
That's right.
Yeah.
A lot of those youth are also known to be victims of
Yes.
crime. So how do you address this differently when they're getting younger and they have also been victims and perpetrators or
Well,
alleged perpetrators?
as we talked about in the task force meeting yesterday, we need to make sure that those victims, but also the perpetrators, are getting the right behavioral health supports that they need as well. That's why we wanted to make sure for the first time in our city's history, we have trauma-informed social workers in all 22 of our rec centers across the city of Cleveland. And so it's going to take that kind of approach to address both the victims and those that have been involved in violent crime as well, too. Yep.
Just to add something, when I took office in our first budget, we put money in to every school in the state in regard to mental health. It has been a big priority of our administration, not just young people, but adults as well. But look, we have a ways to go. Go back 60 years ago, John Kennedy signed the Community Mental Health Act. There was a promise made. We as a people have never really lived up to that promise. The promise was that not only young people, but everyone would have within their own community the help they need in regard to mental health. So we're making progress. We're moving forward. We're putting more resources than have ever been put forward in regard to that, not just to the schools, but into the communities. But we still certainly have a ways to go. And I think, as the mayor said, a surge, and the effort we're making in regard to law enforcement is one thing. It's very, very, very important. But we also have to do the other things as well. We have to make sure that young people can read. We have to make sure that children who are born have a good birth weight. That we reach out to moms who are struggling. I mean, all of these things we have to do. And the fact that we're all standing here and talking about law enforcement and talking about arresting people today does not mean we can't do these other things too. And does not mean we will not do those other things. So we have to look at this from a holistic point of view. But it is intolerable, and we cannot, no society can stand and allow violent individuals, no matter what their age, to stay out into the community. So again, targeting those violent repeat offenders is what we absolutely have to do, and we have to remove them from the community. That is the only way these communities are going to be safe. Anybody else?
All right. Thanks,
all
everybody.
right, thanks, everybody.
Thanks.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Good job.
I had to end that. Bernie.
All right, and that is it for your press conference there held by Governor Mike DeWine and Mayor Justin Bibb regarding safety initiatives here, mostly centered around data surges in the city of Cleveland. You heard that quite a bit from them, using data to try and prevent crime in the future. Caitlin McCarthy will be covering this for us tonight on 19 News. Our newscasts continue for another 2 hours on CBS. For now, I'm Jeff Sloss with 19 News. Have a great day and great night. Much more to come, both on air and online.
19 News, now streaming on Samsung Smart TV.